I want to invite you into this realm of the stories, the myths, where they then become the keys to unlock some mysteries and the infinite potential that you can access. We're living from this dim frequency. And when I received my own initiation back in 2009 and then began this journey of exploring the goddesses and the gods, particularly of the Hindu pantheon, and then from the tantric aspect, everything began to blossom in my life. And that's why I'm sharing them with you. So, what if you learnt a path that empowered you to change the story that you tell yourself or that you have been told? What if you knew how to invoke elements that empower you to embody a frequency within you so that you could rise and meet any situation with confidence, courage, compassion, tenderness, fierceness, authenticity? What if you learned the mantras, the mudras, the pranayama that awakens, clears, and activates the greatest source of power that you have within you? These are all the aspects that I am going to give you through the goddess initiation, where the ancient tantric wisdom empowers you to transform the story that you tell yourself and connect with this deepest, greatest source of power that you have within you called Shakti. Each goddess has a Shakti, and Shakti is power or to be able. And story is the oldest form of communication that there is. The myths of the goddesses are thousands and thousands of years old, and they have been known to work, in inverted commas if you like. They yield the results because they carry the ancient wisdom that is passed down from teacher to student, to the listener. And so through the goddess initiation, the myths and the metaphors, you're going to learn something about yourself, your behavior, your emotions, and your psyche, what makes you up. So let me tell you a little bit of background. The gods and goddesses of the Hindu pantheon, they represent what their facets illuminate about your own characteristics comes from the word that means them. So in Sanskrit, God is Deva and goddess is Devi. And they come from the root etymology of div, which means to shine or to illume. So what does that mean for you? The gods and goddesses are forms of light. Light projects and light reflects. So what all the gods and goddesses are doing are lighting up the world. They're lighting up your life so that you live your life from a place of illumination, enlightenment. It might mean going into the dark crevices of your soul and bringing them to light, because Tantra weaves absolutely everything together. The dark, the light, the places in between. So in the Hindu pantheon, there's considered 330 million gods and goddesses. What do they all want? They want you to see yourself from multiple perspectives. So everything in our life gives us a reflection, whether it be our partner, our mother, our father, our sister, our friends, our children, the people that we meet in the street, where we are, the people across from you that you work with, even strangers. Everything is giving you a reflection and asking you to look more deeply at yourself. It's like they are a mirror. You learn about yourself through the power of reflection. Is this place of self-reflection where we meet and greet ourselves. I'll say that again, where we meet and greet ourselves, because sometimes we just push things away because it's easier to avoid or to numb out from. But this is what I love about Tantra, is embracing everything that weaves everything together that makes up the whole of you. I'm primarily in the Goddess Initiation going to teach you about the Divine Feminine, Devi, and she has thousands of names and thousands of different moods. Just like there are thousands of different women in the world, everyone is unique. And the goddesses and the goddesses that we meet in our life are reflecting back to us potent seeds that can help you to transform or empower you to blossom more fully. So if there are 313 million gods and goddesses, guess what? You're not necessarily going to be able to grasp this from your linear mind. You know, in the West, we don't have this perspective of time being over a period of time of thousands of years. So we cannot logically analyze this. The mind doesn't get it. So I'm inviting you to enter the experience. And the Hindu goddess tradition offers you an initiation into a reverence that gives insight into the dynamism, the power of the Divine Feminine, who gives birth to all. And when you begin to recognize the power as feminine, this is a game changer. The Shakti Tantra, which is where you're going to honor the feminine, is the power of the universe emanates from the feminine inner source. This source came from the very beginning and has evolved over millions and millions of years, where the suns and the planets were formed, and indeed human beings. And all of this reality is Shakti's dance. In Hinduism and Tantra, the dynamic forces that move through the entire universe are Shakti. Shakti takes the form of biological processes of the body. She acts through our thoughts, emotions. She emanates through every cell of our being. We are essentially made of Shakti. Shakti gives birth to life from the blossoms in the trees, the cry of the newborn, the hairs that grow on your head, the deep longings in the heart, the joyous feelings of bliss during a yoga class, the arousal of your sex organs, the dissolution of autumn time, and indeed death for rebirth. Tantra says that Shakti, when she's resting, is literally drawing our senses, our being, our mind outwards. So our thoughts are looking for love, power, and anything and everything from the outside. It's as if you're going around and round in circle in the same situations keep arising and repeating themselves. You're looking outside of yourself for the answers, or for happiness, or for more work, or for a perfect partner. This is Shakti resting. She's asleep. She's running the show. She's giving your life an experience that you are limited and separate as you look outside of yourself. But then she begins to awaken. And she turns your awareness inwards. Carl Jung says, Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. And this is what the goddess initiation is all about. Is bringing you into the initiation that you are more than the life you have, so that you begin to seek your true self, capital S, where you see yourself as divine. You embrace the freedom, which is swatantra, or moksha, liberation. Liberations from the old stories, the shackles that keep you small. So Carl Jung shared extensively about the myths and the symbols that held the lock and the key to our relationships through our personal consciousness and indeed the collective. This is quite important. The ancient Tantrika shared this, and that's why these practices over these thousands and thousands of years hold the keys for transformation. So the Hindu and Tantric traditions are complex, and their stories, because they emanated from the oral tradition, can change from village to village. And this is where potentially the linear mind may not be able to grasp it. The West tends to think of the feminine as this receptive, passive, even submissive, whereas Tantra is the opposite. The feminine is the eros, the life force behind change and evolution, whether that be physical or psychological. And so the masculine is pure consciousness and awareness. Yet if the masculine needs power, wants power, he needs to draw it from the feminine. And just as the feminine wants to be more conscious, she needs to draw this capacity from her masculine source. So the keys here is the men and the women both have masculine and feminine energies. And these are the qualities that we begin to change how we honor the goddess. So the goddess embodies transformational powers that kindle your spiritual journey for awakening to your true self. And the key here is they embody. When you begin to recognize that men and women both contain masculine and feminine energies that are not gender-based, then you can begin to change how you honor the goddess. And this is where I'm going to weave in my first story, because I think it's very ripe for what is going on in the world presently, or has been. Is that the part of the story is that I sow a seed, and then you can see where these ancient stories are ripe in present day and fertile ground for even your evolution and transformation. So it all begins with that the gods are Brahma. There's a trinity, the gods. Brahma is the creator. Vishnu is the sustainer. Shiva is the destroyer or transformer. And they act in the world and share their cosmic functions of creation, of life, of death. And they each have their Shakti. Now, Shiva, who's the transformer, he's also the great yogi and loves to meditate. So he's lost in meditation and not performing his cosmic function. And so all the other gods discuss that we've got to bring him to life. And how can we do this? How can we get him to access his power? Through activating Shakti, to lure him out of his yogic meditation that is so serene and peaceful. So from a tantric perspective, particularly the Shakti tradition, the great goddess is called upon when there is usually an imbalance. And in this case, it's to lure Shiva out of his deep meditation and to act within the world. And so she is asked to come forth and lure Shiva. And so she is going to take the form of a goddess called Sati. And her name means she who is. However, the great goddess, when she was looking upon the cosmos, what she witnessed was that the men and the gods had begun to treat women as property or as lesser creatures in the hierarchy. And if everything emanates from the center, the source of the feminine, this is not acceptable. And so the great goddess said that she will reincarnate as Sati, and she is to be born to a father named Daksha, and that she would only come along if Daksha made a promise that he would always honor Sati. For if at any time he did not, then the goddess Sati would instantly leave her body, for she knew then that the time was not right for her to fully act in the world and share her power. So this is a key point for you to remember as we begin to explore the goddesses in the goddess initiation, where we begin to see that everything emanates from the feminine as she gives birth to everything outwards, like in the mandala. And so the feminine, Shakti, is creating the change. She's giving birth to change, and she's inviting you now in this initiation to begin to embody her Shakti. We're going to explore the energy, the power of Shakti in each goddess through her myth and see how her story can begin to sow seeds and change the story of you. How you show up psychologically, what your triggers are, what you have learnt from society or from your family that no longer serves you. Are they, paradoxically, you use them as protection, whereas they're not. They're just walls that you've built up around yourself. And are you ready to change them? We're going to give you keys so that you can begin to choose how you show up, where you can see where Daksha has maybe been in your life that has treated you less than. Did you retreat or did you stay? And this is where we're going to begin to kindle the inner fire of Shakti through the stories, the myths, the mantra, the metaphors, the symbolism, the pranayama. And this is where you're going to create a relationship with the goddesses. And you may have a natural affinity for one. And you just observe that there are hidden energies within yourself that you may not have recognized before. And as you call the goddess within through her myth, through her mantra, through her mudra, that you may begin to unfurl from your center. And I want you to comprehend as well that the mythic realm doesn't mean that it's not real. She's unveiling herself within you and all around you. So it's being open to receive and allow her Shakti to emanate within you and awaken you to the depths of your soul, the depths of your feminine soul. And this is the alchemy. Jai Ma. Jai Ma means yes, mother. Because the goddess, the Shakti, is Ma, is the mother who gives birth to everything. And so it is. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma. Thank you.